Hi all, this is After Hours Games with another Alien Frontier devlog. In my last video, I talked about how I was opening up the game to a limited playtest. At this point, the playtest has been running for just over 2 weeks now, and I've gotten a ton of great feedback and data from players. So much so that I'm already hard at work implementing a number of changes. So for today's episode, I'll be diving into the findings and feedback, both good and bad, and I'll also share changes that I've already made. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So the closed playtest is still accepting applications, so if you haven't already, feel free to wishlist and request access on Steam. Already over 700 people have played the playtest, which to me is an incredible feat considering that this YouTube channel is really the only form of active advertisement so far. I'm planning on running the playtest for a few more weeks, so feel free to jump aboard while you still can. In the playtest, I have a section where players can send feedback via a simple survey. A large number of players have shared their thoughts, for which I'm super thankful for. If these players didn't take the time to answer the survey, I'd have a hard time getting any meaningful data from the test. So let's jump into that data. Overall, impressions were very good. Phew. In the general impressions, the game is ranked as mostly positive, with the majority of scores landing between 4 or 3 out of 5. I have a few lower scores, but for very first release with no patches, fixes, or changes accounting for player feedback, I think this is a very strong baseline. In my opinion, games are iterative, and provided I don't make any absolutely moronic decisions, I can make changes and fixes that will further bring this score up. So having a solid baseline already at the first go is really encouraging. So what worked and what didn't? Overall, players enjoyed the art style, combat, and mobility, though there are some caveats with that, which I'll get to. These are some really important aspects of the game, so I'm pleased they resonated with players. But I'm more interested in what didn't work out. The majority of the negative feedback came from bugs. Fortunately, the game wasn't a total crash fest, but there were some nasty blocking bugs, such as one with the options menu. If the player edited the options in the main menu, then the entire screen would disappear once they were finished in that screen, which was not great. There were also some annoying issues with mobility, particularly entering a state and not being able to exit, such as this one. Oftentimes, sound effects from other states persisted, such as hearing the hoverboard sound effect while on foot. While these things didn't break things for players, they were annoying as hell.
Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
And on to mobility. There were quite a few recurring pieces of feedback regarding it. Firstly, the hoverboard felt too finicky, especially with having to sprint before entering the mode. And the biggest piece of feedback with that was hitting small obstacles or gentle slopes completely stopped you in your tracks, disabling the hoverboard. So I've gone ahead and changed that so it's a simple button press to start, and now it's much more tolerant to slopes and small obstacles, which makes it feel a lot more fluid and natural. Gliding was also a point of contention for players, which actually caught me a bit by surprise. There were some minor bits of tuning I made, such as allowing for more control while turning and increased climb height after gaining momentum, but I was surprised to hear that players were frustrated that the player couldn't fly higher and more accurately, which made me come to a realization. The intent of the gliding system is to allow the players to traverse the map as if they had a wingsuit. However, players were expecting full jetpack style behavior. For balance reasons, I don't want the glide to allow players to reach every possible location on the map, so instead it works like a glider where you have some altitude gain in short bursts, but overall the player will be consistently losing altitude. However, I realized that the presentation with the flame trails made players think they'd get an Iron Man style flight system as opposed to more of a Tears of the Kingdom style glide. As much as I love those particles, I instead created a new wind particle effect to make it more clear that the player was gliding and not flying. On top of that, I made some changes to the model. When gliding, you would get those wingsuit style flaps on the arms and legs, really reinforcing that you're using your momentum, not rocket power. So this was a really good lesson to me and a reminder that what I have designed may be interpreted differently by players. And then there's the question of difficulty. So the responses were frankly a little all over the place. So about 20% of respondents said the game was way too difficult, and another 20 said it was too difficult, while roughly 30% said it was just difficult. Another remaining 30% of respondents recorded evenly splitting between just right difficulty or the too easy responses. So this is a bit hard to parse, but overall the responses do skew towards the difficult side, with a smaller portion of outliers saying it was good or too easy. So I'm going to push out a few subtle changes, such as reducing the enemy spawn count as well as some slight tuning, but for now I'm just going to monitor it closely. I think due to the range of responses, now isn't really the time to make any massive sweeping changes similar to what I did with mobility, but I'll be watching this very closely and I need to gather more data. So when are these changes going live?
And it starts right now!
That's right, I just pushed an update to the playtest, so you're more than welcome to give it a try. And of course, if you haven't already, feel free to sign up and I will let you in. On a final note, I've just launched the game's Discord, a place where I can interact with the community at a much closer scale. The link is in the description below, so feel free to hop in and say hi. You can also share your feedback, bugs, and general thoughts in there, so don't be a stranger. With all this out of the way, I'm going to crack a cold one and take a bit of a break. This was a really good start to the playtest and also a really good practice run for me to update the game and respond to feedback quickly. It will be launching into early access, and I really do want players and the community to be an active part of dictating the development of this game. So this relatively small sample set was a really good test drive for me. Anyways, that's it for now, and of course if the game looks interesting to you, please consider wishlisting if you haven't already. It is the most impactful way you can support your local indie dev. Alright, bye for now.